Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into this completely mind-blowing reframing of something every single one of us experiences every day. The family, right? It feels so natural, kind of like a biological default that's just always been there. But what if I told you it absolutely wasn't? Today, we're looking at the exact moment humans literally invented the family.
Okay, to really grasp this, let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine waking up tomorrow in a world where absolutely no one has a last name. The whole concept just doesn't even exist. Your identity is just you, untethered from any sort of historical lineage.
Let's push that even further. No birth certificates to officially record who your parents are. No family trees meticulously drawn out to trace your ancestry back through the centuries. I mean, we're talking absolutely zero official records, no paperwork, no way to track where you came from.
And now, take away the economics. In this world, there's zero inheritance, no generational wealth getting passed down from parent to child, and, naturally, without inheritance, there are no kings or queens quietly handing their massive thrones and literally entire nations to their kids.
Sounds like a totally chaotic, almost unimaginable alternate reality, right? But here is the awe-inspiring truth. For thousands of years, this was just completely normal. Early humans survived just fine, actually, without a single one of the things we now consider totally essential to family life.
So that brings us to the central mystery of today's explainer. If we didn't always live in these structured families, what changed? Like, how did a group of complete strangers eventually get categorized as relatives? And why is it that almost every major civilization on Earth ended up inventing the exact same idea of the family?
Let's get into Section 1, Before the Family, the Age of Trust.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand it, we have to look at how early humans lived way before the modern household was even a twinkle in humanity's eye. Today, our lives rely heavily on ownership, right? Private property, individual wealth, a locked front door. But early humans didn't live like that at all. They survived in small, nomadic groups where cooperation mattered infinitely more than ownership. Food was completely shared. Kids were protected and raised by the whole community, not just two parents. In that world, knowing who owned what wasn't even on the radar compared to making sure everyone actually survived another day. Their strongest resource wasn't gold or land, it was trust.
Moving on to Section 2, farming changed everything.
So that shared communal existence didn't last forever. Roughly 12,000 years ago, this massive historical plot twist hits that alters the entire trajectory of humanity. Humans literally stopped wandering.
We shifted from hunting and gathering to farming, and man, with farming came a massive paradigm shift. For the very first time in human history, land actually had value. Fields became property. Homes, which used to be these temporary, makeshift shelters, became permanent structures. And animals? They went from being wild food sources to domesticated, taxable wealth.
And the moment people actually owned valuable things, this simple but monumental logistical question pops up. Who gets it after I die? That single, wildly practical question quietly began to rewrite all of human history.
Which leads us to Section 3, the birth of inheritance.
Let's move to how this builds, because answering that one question, who gets your stuff when you're gone, snowballed into an unstoppable domino effect. First, ownership demanded rules. If I own a field, we need a rule for who gets it next. Over generations, those localized rules solidified into really strict traditions. And as societies grew, those traditions turned into rigid laws. Because of this chain reaction, families suddenly mattered in ways they literally never had before. Children weren't just equal members of a shared community anymore. Officially, they became heirs.
So we're really defining inheritance not just as, say, passing down an antique watch, but as this massive organizational system. Across Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, Rome, you name it, inheritance was the engine that shaped governments, dictated economies, and absolutely sparked wars. The idea of the family became the rock-solid foundation of civilization itself. And honestly, it was mostly just to keep track of property.
All right, Section 4, names and kingdoms.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the system scaled up from individual fields to the control of entire empires. Today, we mostly think of a family name as just a word on a passport. But historically, a family name was an incredible piece of social technology. Long before passports were even a thing, your family name told the whole world exactly who you were.
It connected generations through time. It determined your civic duties, dictated your allies, and instantly declared your enemies. A name carried a deep, complex history in just a single word.
And as these societies grew, the stakes got unbelievably high. Entire empires eventually depended entirely on bloodlines. Just think about the sheer gravity of that. A single royal birth, one tiny baby, could determine the future, the safety, and the prosperity of millions of people.
Because if there was ever even a shadow of a doubt about succession, kingdoms could instantly collapse into brutal civil war. I mean, some of history's absolute greatest, most devastating conflicts began with this one simple, terrifying question. Who is the rightful heir? The answer to that question literally decided the fate of entire nations.
Section 5. Humanity's greatest invention.
Okay, let's bring this all back to today. The concept of the family feels perfectly natural to us. It feels almost inevitable, right? But as you've seen, it definitely wasn't a biological default. It was actually one of humanity's most brilliant organizational inventions. Just look at what this invention achieved. It organized property so these massive societies could actually function. It preserved delicate cultures across generations. And it built empires that managed to last for thousands of years.
I want to leave you with a lingering thought today. The next time you're filling out a form or introducing yourself and you write down or speak your last name, I really want you to remember something. You aren't just writing a word. You are carrying a story, a brilliant, ancient system of survival and organization that began way, way before written history. So what story does your name carry? Thanks for exploring this with us. Keep learning, and we'll see you in the next Explainer.